Laziness is a habit, not a personality trait. This simple truth has the power to completely shift how we understand and overcome inaction. Often, when someone describes themselves, or others, as lazy, it sounds permanent, as if laziness is a fixed part of who they are, something they were born with, like their eye color or height. But this is far from the truth. Laziness is not wired into your DNA. It is a behavioral pattern, one that has been shaped and reinforced over time by your environment, your thoughts, your emotions, and your routines. And like any pattern, it can be broken, changed, and replaced. Laziness forms when we repeatedly choose the easier path, when we avoid discomfort, or when we're uncertain about what to do next. Over time, these choices become automatic. You might start skipping a task here and there, procrastinating on something important, or telling yourself you'll do it later. These tiny choices may seem insignificant in the moment, but they add up. Eventually, they become habits, unconscious responses to stress, fear, or even boredom. And because they repeat often enough, they feel like a part of you, but they are not. They are simply behaviors that you've practiced more than the alternatives. One of the main drivers of laziness is comfort. We live in a world where convenience is everywhere. Food, entertainment, communication, even work can be accessed with a few clicks. While this has brought many benefits, it has also made it easier to avoid effort. When everything is within reach without movement or strain, our motivation to act shrinks. Comfort becomes addictive. It offers short-term relief but slowly drains long-term progress. The more we give into it, the more we condition ourselves to avoid anything that requires energy, focus, or discomfort. Fear is another powerful force behind laziness. Not all laziness is caused by tiredness or a lack of care. Sometimes it's rooted in deep psychological resistance. You might avoid starting a project because you're afraid of failing, or you delay making a decision because you're unsure what the outcome will be. This isn't laziness in the traditional sense. This is fear wearing the mask of laziness. It's your mind's way of protecting you from risk. But the problem is, while this defense mechanism may keep you safe from failure, it also keeps you away from growth, achievement, and self-respect. Another reason people fall into lazy habits is a lack of clarity. If you're not sure what your goal is, what steps you need to take, or why a task even matters, it's incredibly hard to stay motivated. The brain prefers clear direction. When you lack it, you feel stuck. And when you feel stuck, your brain conserves energy by encouraging you to do nothing. You scroll through your phone, watch videos, or sleep, not because you're inherently lazy, but because your mind doesn't have a clear path to follow. The energy it would take to figure it out feels overwhelming, so you stay where you are. Understanding laziness as a behavior instead of a personality flaw changes everything. It gives you power. You stop identifying with the problem and start looking for solutions. If laziness is a habit, then it can be unlearned the same way it was learned, through repetition, environment, and choice. Every time you choose to act instead of delay, every time you step out of your comfort zone, and every time you face fear instead of hiding from it, you are reshaping your behavior. It may feel hard at first. It may even feel unnatural. But habits don't change overnight. They change over time through consistent effort. To break the habit of laziness, start with small actions. Don't wait for motivation. Create a simple task list. Make it so easy that you cannot fail. It might be as simple as making your bed, writing for 5 minutes, or walking for 10. Each completed action is a vote for the version of you that is disciplined, productive, and capable. Over time, these votes add up. They become your new identity, not because you told yourself to change, but because you proved to yourself again and again that you could. It's also important to be kind to yourself in the process. Breaking a habit like laziness doesn't require punishment. It requires understanding. Ask yourself what triggers your inaction. Notice the patterns. Replace judgment with curiosity. Each time you fall back into laziness, see it as feedback, not failure. What needs to be adjusted? What's missing? Clarity, energy, or courage? The truth is, you are not lazy. You are a human being shaped by your experiences, your routines, and your mindset, and you have the power to reshape all of them. Laziness is not your destiny, it's just a habit, and once you recognize that, you can begin to change it, one small action at a time. Purpose is the enemy of laziness. When you have a strong enough why, energy and action naturally follow. This statement is more than just motivational. It's a psychological truth grounded in how human beings operate. Laziness, in most cases, isn't about lack of ability. It's about lack of direction. When you don't know why you're doing something, or when the reason feels weak or disconnected from your values, motivation dies. But when you connect your actions to a clear, meaningful purpose, even difficult tasks become manageable. Suddenly, the energy you thought you didn't have shows up. Focus sharpens, delays shrink. This is the power of purpose. Laziness thrives in the absence of meaning. When our actions feel empty, repetitive, or insignificant, our brains default to conserving energy. That's why people often feel lazy, not because they're tired, but because they're uninspired. Without purpose, even simple tasks feel like burdens. But introduce a clear reason, a goal that aligns with who you are or who you want to become, and that same task becomes a challenge you're willing to face. Purpose doesn't eliminate resistance, but it gives you the strength to overcome it. Purpose acts as a mental compass. It tells you where you're going and why the journey matters. Without that compass, you can drift. You might wake up without direction, go through the motions, or find yourself constantly distracted. You start avoiding tasks not because they're hard, but because they feel meaningless. You ask yourself, what's the point? And when that question has no answer, laziness becomes the default behavior. But when the answer is clear and compelling, it becomes easier to choose action over avoidance. Think of someone training for a marathon, waking up at 5 a.m. to run in the cold isn't easy. But when they remember that they're running for a cause, or to prove something to themselves, or to become healthier for their family, the discomfort becomes part of a meaningful process. They are willing to endure the pain because their purpose is stronger than the temptation to stay in bed. The why pushes them through the how. That same principle applies to studying, working, building a business, creating art, or developing any skill. The key is to make your purpose personal. If your goals are built only on external pressure, what others want, expect, or praise, you might move for a while, but the drive fades quickly. True energy comes from within. Ask yourself, what do I care about deeply? What problem do I want to solve? What kind of life do I want to create? These questions lead to a purpose that belongs to you, not to someone else's idea of success. And once you find that purpose, laziness becomes harder to justify. You no longer see rest as your right, but as a tool for recovery in service of something greater. Purpose also brings urgency. When you understand what's at stake, procrastination starts to feel like theft, like you're stealing from your future self. Every hour wasted feels like an opportunity slipping through your fingers. This awareness isn't meant to create stress, it's meant to create commitment. You begin to view time as valuable, energy as a resource, and action as non-negotiable. Purpose reframes your choices. You stop asking, do I feel like doing this? And start asking, does this align with my mission? But let's be honest, finding your purpose isn't always easy. It may take time, experimentation, and reflection. Sometimes you need to try many things to discover what truly matters to you. That's okay. The search itself builds clarity. The mistake is waiting for purpose to appear before you begin. In reality, purpose often grows through action. Start doing, explore, build, help, learn. As you move, patterns emerge. You begin to see what excites you, what challenges you, and what lights you up. That's when purpose begins to crystallize, and with that clarity, your energy multiplies. Purpose also creates resilience. When you're clear on why you're doing something, setbacks don't stop you. They refine you. Instead of quitting when things get tough, you adjust, adapt, and continue. Laziness loses its grip because you're no longer driven by convenience. You're driven by commitment. That inner fire, lit by purpose, burns through excuses. To kill laziness, you don't need more pressure. You need more meaning. A strong why makes hard work feel worthwhile. It turns obstacles into stepping stones and turns your daily actions into part of a larger story. You don't have to chase motivation when purpose is pulling you forward. Laziness can't survive where purpose lives. So if you feel stuck, tired, or uninspired, don't just push harder. Look deeper. Reconnect with your purpose. Strengthen your why. And let that be the fuel that powers every step forward.